All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be going through our Unit 8 East Asia information to make sure that our spirals are up to date and that we are ready for our unit test and our DPM next week. Remember, unit test on Wednesday, DPM on Friday. So here we go. First of all, page 1, China splash page. These are some important pieces of information. You want to make sure you know China has a communist government, and they have the fastest growing economy in the world, and that's related to GDP. That's how we measure economy. And there should be just 2 fun pictures there. Should have an East Asia map, okay, with everything labeled. We need to know our barriers, like the Taklamakan and Gobi Desert, and the Great Wall. Okay, we need to know our corridors, the Yellow River and the Yangtze River. We need to know our HEI, Three Gorges Dam. Okay, there should be, I don't have one in my drawer, but you should have an index card right here with just some highlights from there, some takeaways. For instance, making sure we know that the Changjiang River used to flood, and that's why they built the Three Gorges Dam on there to help stop that. We have an 8-fold path with a Venn diagram that compares Hinduism to Buddhism. It's really important we know, especially the information about our founder. We have our steps of the 8-fold path, and you have either a paper that looks somewhat like this with your personal 8-fold goals, or some classes did a larger paper that would look something like this with the 8-fold goals on it. Okay, we have Buddhism, especially important to know the founder of Buddhism. Name that invention. Make sure you go back over and look at some of the great inventions of the ancient Chinese empires, including paper, kites, printing, silk, plows, etc. Pay special attention to the questions at the end of each unit that ask things like which has the greatest impact on agriculture, or which of these was improved warfare, and then numbers 18 as well. For Confucius, okay, we have a worksheet here that should be turned back to you. Confucius shaped culture in East Asia. He was a philosopher. He believes in honoring our ancestors and setting a good example. We have Silk Road, one of our major trade corridors for China. Very important for the economy and improving the economy. Okay, you should have questions on the front and the back of that as well to look at. For the Great Wall, that is one of our great barriers. It was built over 1,000 years. It's called the longest cemetery in the world. We need to know that why it was built, to help protect the Silk Road from Mongol invaders. And we also want to know that it is an important part of history. So we have our Three Gorges Dam pros and cons. These are good things about the dam being built and bad things about the dam being built. You want to make sure that the students are able to identify. If you said reduces air pollution, they could say, oh, that's a pro of the Three Gorges con. Or if you said, oh, this is artifacts, treasures, and scenery were lost, and they go, oh, that was a con. So make sure the students can tell the difference between the pros and cons in the building of the Three Gorges Dam. We have Tiananmen Square, Power of One. Some of the students did a booklet like this. Some of the students have a news article. Some important things. We need to make sure we understand the role of the government in the Tiananmen Square protest, both in opening fire on the protesters and in hiding that history, and how that reflects on the type of government that China has. The China Challenge, which is mostly focusing on education and growth in GDP. It's important to know a couple things. One, that they became communist, and then later, after Zedong died, they had to have reforms, and one of the reforms that they did is they actually allowed people to own private property. So those economic reforms transformed China. Great Firewall here. Okay, know what GDP is. And they have greater economic freedom, but not political freedom. That's an important qualification. Over on our Rock'em Sock'em page, we should have some notes about Japanese education. Make sure you understand the teachers are called sensei. Want to know some of these highlights. Difficult exams. Lots of homework. They go to something called a cram school. Okay, to cram school to make sure that they are able to pass those exams. Go North Korea on Edge. It's information about life in North Korea. You want to know what kind of government that North Korea has, both that it's unlimited and that it's communist, that the people of North Korea are very isolated, that they don't have enough food. Okay. Story of two births. You should just have 5 observations from this video. And some major takeaways is there's an unlimited government in North Korea. They use propaganda for brainwashing. You need to know what propaganda is. So, like, if you able to see a picture of, like, here's some propaganda right here. See, because there's the leader, and all the kids want to meet him and see him, and everything looks so happy and wonderful. Okay? Anything that's making the country of North Korea look strong. You want to know the leader is worshipped, and they use concentration camps to instill fear. Japan HEI, you're going to want to know some of the examples of HEI. You're also going to want to know why they have HEI, okay? Many people seem to be confused, and they keep wanting to say that Japan is a communist country. Japan is not a communist country. Japan is a democracy. They became a democracy after World War II. And the big thing is they have lots of people and not enough land. So this is human-environment interaction to adapt to high population density. Japanese customs, we just filled this in today, so these should all be full. Each one should have a title and then some bullet-pointed notes. Some things you want to make sure you're aware of is some of the examples of Japanese customs, like removing your shoes before you enter a home and using the face masks, again, to deal with high population density. Ring of Fire, we will actually not be doing this assignment, so I'm going to put a big X in my spiral. Tsunami, we want to know that tsunami is part of geography. It's a geographic problem they face. I want to know what a tsunami is and that it's triggered by earthquakes. This we'll be doing on Monday, so that's something to look for. There'll be a map that looks like this, and they're going to be labeling different port cities. It's important to know what a port city is and why they affect trade. Students just turned in their Google Doodle today, so they should get those early next week to glue in. And also from today, we did some notes on outsourcing. Okay, there should be an illustration, a definition, and some benefits. It's important to be able to identify these are the benefits of outsourcing. I hope this helps you catch up if you've missed anything, or if you had any questions about the important highlights of your spiral information. Don't forget that the Quizlet is live now, so you may go to Quizlet.com and find our review sheet so that you can review for your tests. We got 2 tests next week because we're getting to the end of the school year.